from CFC, Wisdom's Corner, In Depth. I'm Andy, and if you're looking for a good church home, come check us out on Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. If you want to come early, you can come in and check us out at our coffee bar and some fellowship. And if you are looking for a good church on Wednesday nights, you can come check us out at 7 p.m. Wednesday nights. Again, show up an hour early if you want to fellowship at the coffee bar. That being said, tonight's subject is a little bit different. I entitled it, Seated in the Heavenly Places. And I want to talk about the virtue of being seated. The idea of this seatedness, it's something, it's like a state of being in which our spirit man is working in heaven while our soul and our body is working in the earth. You see, we're very connected both with the spiritual realm and the physical realm. We just happen to have a body that functions in a three-dimensional existence. That being said, I believe that we can engage God in an innumerable number of ways. And there are different places that you can go in the spiritual realm. For instance, you can go to the throne of grace. I think Hebrews says, let us therefore now draw near with boldness to the throne of grace, in order that we might receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need, literally in opportune season. So that being said, we can approach the Father at the throne of grace and engage God in that regard. Another thing that you can do, you can engage God in his secret counsel. A lot of people are afraid that when they pray, their prayers will be heard by demonic powers or perhaps even other people. And it is certainly true that we are surrounded by spiritual beings of all sorts at any given moment. You know, we don't know what's going on in the spiritual realms around us at any given time. But with discernment, we can start picking up on those things. So that being said, you can engage Father in the secret counsel. And I'll show you this verse. This is pretty cool. Let me find this for you. Psalms 25:14. The secret counsel of the Lord is for those who fear him, and he reveals his covenant to them. So you've got kind of this twofold thing going on here. The word in Hebrew is sod, and it literally, some people translate it secret, some people translate it confiding, but what it really means, it's kind of almost like a legal term. It's a secret counsel where you go into the chambers of the Lord and you sit down and engage him for a strategy. You can actually move things effectively by sitting down and talking with the Lord in his secret counsel. And when you do this, you don't have any fear of being overheard. I always say, if you ever want to ruin your plans, just go on and tell everyone. There are some people that don't need to know what you've got going on. If the Lord gives you a dream or a vision for something, don't go around and tell everybody, please. You will definitely sabotage yourself. Some people even make the argument that Joseph probably should have been more tactful when he told his brothers what his dream was. Maybe speaking the truth in love, not just telling the truth. Because a lot of times people are not on the same wavelength we are, or they're not on our side, or they do not want to see you succeed for whatever X, Y, or Z reason. That being said, you can engage God in the secret counsel, and you can come to him and get strategies for your time of need. And so that being said, a lot of you are probably asking, well, how do I hear God's voice? Or how do I know that there's something spiritual going on around? Well, Hebrews talks about sharpening your spiritual senses so that you can discern between good and evil. Also, you can discern between good, better, and best, but that's a different story. So I wanted to throw that out there. We shouldn't always be doing lower warfare where we're engaging between good and evil. We could actually be looking for good, better, and best options. So there might be a good option that presents itself, but God gives you a better option. Or you might have several jobs show up at the same time, and you're like, okay, God, which is the best option? Which one do I choose? Don't always go to the one that makes the most money. God knows what's going to happen 3, 4, 6 months down the way. And so you might want to engage him to find out what the optimum good is. That being said, one version here says the friendship of the Lord is with those who fear him. But what you have here, sod is a secret counsel. Counsel, Counsel, counsel. Or some people look at it as counsel, Counncil, as in a council of people. But whatever the case may be, you meet God in this counsel, and he'll give you angels to fulfill your assignments. He'll assign things to you, resources to you. And you can engage the Lord in these things. You can also do this. Sometimes this will happen with dreams. Sometimes you'll have a prophetic word from someone. You can step in and engage these things and ask the Lord for specifics and details that he wants to reveal to you. So, that being said, don't be afraid to step in and engage the Lord. Another one I want to share with you. There's one that's similar. It's called the secret place or the hidden place of God. This is a place I believe that you can come to with the Lord where you are not invisible, but you're hidden. There's a virtue of hiddenness in him that keeps the wrong things and the wrong people from seeing you. And it makes it so only the right people can notice you. And this is the secret place of God. It is the place where you can engage God's deepest intimacies and delights. The very mysteries of God are revealed in the secret place, in the hidden place of God. Another one, and this is kind of interesting. This proves my point from earlier. Ephesians chapter 2, I believe, verse 6. And it says, "And raised us up together and made us sit together in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus." So what this states is that even though we are physically connected to the earth, our body and our soul, our functioning, emotionally, our will, our desires, whatever, we're functioning in a three-dimensional universe. The spirit, however, can still be very much so in your body, but at the same time connected in heaven. In fact, it can be in more than one place in heaven, actually. Kind of blows your mind there, but it can. You can kind of engage God on multiple facets. And so that's how people can have visions and dreams, but yet still be physically present wherever they are. Because the physical reality does not govern the spiritual reality. So that being said, you're probably wondering, well, how do I even see in the Spirit, or hear in the Spirit, or sense in the Spirit? Well, I call it setting an intention. Purposing yourself to honor the Lord in what he says or does. Like, for instance, I think it's in 2 Corinthians or 1 Corinthians 1, where it talks about the things which eye has not seen, or the things which ear has not heard, or the things which have not even entered into the heart of man, for God, and the things that God has for those who love him. And the very next verse, because a lot of people just stop there, it actually says, "and these things." So it actually tells us what they are. They're mysteries. They're the things that are hidden, and they're the things that we can take and pull out of heaven and manifest them into the earth. I know it kind of sounds a little New Agey, but it's not. New Age actually stole things from us. And so we are to redeem back the things that Father says belong to us. we are to be able to engage the heavenly realms and bring down healing from someone. Or it's kind of like if a little kid can't reach the cookie jar in the kitchen, the adult has to reach up there and grab the cookie jar for them and hand it to them. The answer wasn't no. The answer was simply that the child couldn't reach the cookie jar. And a lot of times it's like that spiritually. Some people are not able, for whatever reason, to reach something, but somebody else can pray and reach it for them and get it for them. And we're to do this for each other. We're to support each other. So that being said, what you can do, and there's several things you can do. You can actually start by closing your eyes. A lot of people find that when they close their eyes, they'll start getting mental pictures or what appears to be like little movies or things that kind of go through their mind. And you're able to see these things on the mirror of your mind. And sometimes these are actually God's way of speaking to you and giving you a visible picture. It's kind of how visions and dreams operate. I mean, if you think about it, when you're asleep, you're not actually seeing or hearing anything. Those parts of your brain are turned off so that your brain can reboot and heal so the next day it can function again. That's why when you're tired, the next day you have trouble thinking clearly. Sometimes you don't hear or see very well because basically your brain didn't get the chance to repair the little things that are going on in the brain, little electrical impulses and stuff. It needs that time to repair. And that's how you know a spiritual dream or vision is you're seeing it. It's bypassing your eyes and going straight into your senses. You're able to discern these things that are going on without physically seeing them. In a dream, you don't physically see anything. So if you have a dream, for instance, where you're able to vividly hear people talk, or you're able to read in a dream, and you can actually see the words, or you can see things with vivid color, chances are that dream is from the Lord. I would test it, go before Him, and engage that dream and find out what's going on with that dream. God could be revealing a piece of information to you. So also, you can try this during worship. I would venture to wonder how many people during worship are actually seeing things in their spirit, but they actually don't realize that they're seeing it. They think it's their imagination, and in truth, it is their imagination. But no one ever said that the imagination was bad or that it was false. God was the one that gave us our imagination, and we are to use our imagination to engage the Lord prophetically or with other gifts. I believe that's why a lot of children are able to see angelic or spiritual things very clearly, because there are no lenses of bias through which they filter what they're seeing. So they're able to engage these things a lot easier. It's why children draw pictures of angels standing on the stage or whatever. But we have to relearn these things. So during worship, I implore you, maybe close your eyes and start engaging heaven and allowing the pictures of the Lord to flood into your mind or flood into your heart. You might even hear something, or you might get a sense of something. Some people don't see in the Spirit, they sense, or they can kind of understand what's going on in the Spirit. They get an idea about what's going on in a person's situation or something of that nature. So don't be upset like if you don't have one sense, but you seem to operate very strongly in another. Another good example is people who are gifted with hugging. Some people hug, and it's just body on body. Another person hugs, and it's like they minister to that person through a hug, or through a smile, or through a handshake. And these people are gifted very kinesthetically, with touch, where they can actually bring a type of sanctity to that person's life. They can engage heaven through the idea of touch. Some people smell things in the spirit. They get aromas when the presence of God is present. But what I'm trying to say with all this is I'm encouraging you during praise and worship time to just start engaging heaven and start writing down what you see, what you hear, what you feel, even if it looks ridiculous at first. Sometimes you'll find that the picture comes together and it forms something that you've been asking God about. Case in point, dreams often will tell a person what's going on in their life. So God will find a way to try to speak to someone about their life and warn them about something. Or say, look, I've been trying to tell you this, but you're not really listening. So I'm going to resort to this method and I'll try to get your attention. So we need to be very vigilant and very sober-minded about what the Lord is telling us. Write it down, honor it, and then go do it. It might be something that you have to declare. It might be something that you have to speak out over and over again. It might be something that you just have to go before the Lord and say, okay, Lord, what do you want to do with this? I don't know how to handle this situation, or I don't know how to handle this person, or I don't know how to deal with this situation here or there, or what do you want me to do about this? And then quiet your spirit, get still, get silent, and start listening for the solutions which the Lord has already planted within you. There is so many things that you can engage with the Lord. You can actually just bring these things right out of heaven into the earth around you. And I believe that's why some people have a degree of success with healing or the prophetic, or they might be strong on dream interpretation like Joseph or Daniel. I mean, you look at those guys. Joseph was told by God that Pharaoh had two dreams. He was never told by a person that ever took dreams. Daniel was told what the dream was without being told what the dream was at all by a person. In fact, the guy wouldn't tell anybody what the dream was and threatened to kill them if they couldn't tell him. So Daniel and his friends got together and God told them exactly what the dream was. So sometimes you have somebody else's answer. I'll give you a quick story. I'll tell you something that happened just to me about a month ago. About 2 months ago, I had a dream. Me and this person I work with, we had a dream together. We were in a house. And no matter which door we looked out, we saw tornadoes everywhere. They were in the sky, trying to touch down, and they go back up into the clouds. And it was just very ugly and very brutal. Well, eventually in the dream, we look out, there's no tornadoes at all. So what ends up happening is we leave the house and go our separate ways in the dream. Well, I didn't think much of it, but about 2 months later, I see my coworker at work, and I'm like, look, this is going to sound a little strange, but this just popped in my head this morning. I remembered I had this dream about you, and I wanted to share it with you and find out what's going on with this. Just make sure it wasn't a taco dream or something. So I told her, about the tornadoes, and the woman's eyes got about as big as a 50-cent piece, and she said, I've dreamt about tornadoes my entire life. Sometimes they're scary, don't know what to do about it, don't know what they mean. And so then I got the interpretation, well, at least what I believed it was, and I always, always, always open up the floor for a person to try to take the dream and test it. Beware of anybody who won't let you test it. That's a red flag. So allow people to test the dream, and also allow them to interpret it based upon the language in which God is speaking to them through that particular avenue. In other words, for her, this could be something very different for you if you dreamt about tornadoes, but you might see tornadoes as something entirely different. For her, this is what I believe they meant. The person was always kind of worried and stuff. So I believe that this dream was sent to her by God to warn her about worrying too much. a lot of times we feel like things are going to touch down in our life, they're going to wreak havoc, they're going to destroy things, and they never even materialize. And even if they do, the weapon forms, but it doesn't prosper. The tornado never touches down and never destroys anything, just like the dream. It's just a threat. That's all it is. It's a threat. It's an empty threat. And so, telling her that, I'm like, I think God is telling you that He wants you to stop worrying. He wants you to stop engaging these things. Start speaking to your storms instead of talking about them. Grab the tornado by the toe. Then she persists in telling me that she had a dream where she was chased by a wolf. And I'm like, I think the meaning is, again, God is telling you the same thing. If you turn and face a wolf, it won't chase you. But it chases you because of fear. And a lot of times in life, we have to turn and face those things in which we think are going to harm us. But if we stop running from them, they stop chasing us and they go away. So sometimes you can see here very clearly that the Lord cared about this person and was speaking to this individual and wanted to get a message across to her about being overly worried or overly concerned. And Jesus talked about that. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Now, it's all taken care of. It's going to work out. And that's what the Lord was saying. So, if the Lord was speaking to someone and this person didn't immediately discern that it was the Lord, venture to believe that God is speaking to you, and probably has been for a long time, but we often don't understand His language. Sometimes we'll see things in nature, like some people will see repetitive numbers, or they'll see a familiar commercial play, or a song will pop in their head, and the lyrics will speak to that person. Usually it's just a line out of a chorus or something. But God speaks through different languages: music, colors, numbers, dreams, anything you want to engage. Creativity, art, doing kind acts for people. Sometimes that is God actually operating through you to do something. It's a language. All these things are languages. Different forms of worship are languages. Some people have a language where they're very flamboyant, they're very open. Some people are more, I hate to use the word zen, but they're more composed. Their repose is a little more settled. But there are different ways in which we can engage the Lord, in different colors and facets by which, many different off-ramps by which we can take in the ways of the Lord. And so I want to encourage you, maybe during worship, to start writing down what you see. If it distracts you during worship, then do it after. But if you feel that you have to write this down immediately, I recommend you do it. And what will happen is you'll start getting a piece, and then something else will come to you, and then something else will come to you. And then pretty soon you'll have an idea. A theme will pop up. And you'll see very quickly what God is ministering to you in that particular hour. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you guys, and feel free to try this. Make it intentional. Set an intention to learn how to see in the Spirit, to learn how to hear in the Spirit, to learn how to hear the voice of God, not only for others, but yourself as well. And so I just wanted to leave you guys with a short word tonight. I'm not going to keep you long, but just wanted to say hello to everyone and challenge you to go try this. Go take an off-ramp with God. Go step into a journey and go have an adventure. This is Andy from CFC, Wisdom's Corner, in depth. I'll see you guys later.